Howdy, how's it going? Welcome back, or howdy if you're new. This is the all-new One X GPU 2 from ONEXplayer, and it's featuring the AMD Radeon 7800M chipset. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing my raw and unbiased opinions and experiences with this eGPU. This will probably be the most raw and straightforward video that you're going to find on this unit, and it's also worth noting that this review is coming from the perspective of someone who is testing an eGPU for the very first time. So I hope this video provides some valuable insights for anyone not only considering this eGPU, but any external GPU, especially if you're going to be pairing it with an ROG Ally X. Now, before we jump in, I want to give a quick thank you to the channel members. As always, you guys are the GOAT. Much love. Thank you so much for supporting unbiased content like this. So let's just dive right on in. So for transparency's sake, this is not a sponsored video. ONEXplayer did, however, provide this as a loaner unit for me to review, but they had no input or influence over anything in this video, nor did I have to get pre-approval for it as well. So all these opinions are solely of my own, so go ahead and buckle up. So let's start with the features and the price tag. And this is the, as I mentioned, AMD Radeon 7800M chipset. It has 12 gigs of DDR6 VRAM, and it has a GPU power consumption of around 180 watts. Now, it also comes with a 330 watt power brick, which can support up to 100 watts of charging via that USB-C cable, and that will be more than enough to power just about any handheld out there and even some laptops as well. So it does offer Oculink and USB-C connections, and that is going to give you compatibility with most handhelds and laptops out there, and it can deliver data rates from 40 gigabits per second all the way up to 64 gigabits per second if you want to use the Oculink. Now, for video, it has two display ports, and they are 2.0, and it has one HDMI 2.1. And additionally, on the back, you're going to find an Ethernet port, a micro SD card slot, two USB 3.2 ports, and also you're going to find that USB-C and the Oculink. Now, one of the sickest party tricks that this thing actually offers that's going to separate it from just about any other eGPU out there, although there are a few outliers, it is this nice NVMe slot right here, and it actually has this little cool magnetic cover, but you can put in any Gen 3 or Gen 4 NVMe, store all your games and movies and ROMs and everything on this one central location, so you can take it between all your devices, and it makes keeping up with everything so much easier. Now, in terms of cooling, this device does have two fans. The main fan, which is over here, can offer 20.75 CFMs of airflow at 3,600 RPMs, and then the auxiliary fan can spin up to 7,500 RPMs. Now, fan noise, as you know, is a common trade-off for managing temperatures, and with the noise levels ranging between 47 decibels at 70% and 53 decibels at full power, you'll need to keep in mind that fan noise is subjective, and everyone has a different threshold for what they find tolerable. For example, the Zephyrus G16 I reviewed has similar decibels, but the perceived fan noise was way more tolerable to me. And I'll play a clip real quick so you can hear how this thing sounds. So as you can hear, it's not crazy loud, but if you are going to be putting this in a bedroom, for example, wanting to play some games late at night next to your significant other, they may or may not complain about the fan noise. It may kind of compare to one of those noise generators that makes the wind noise for you. And if you're playing it on a TV, for example, in the living room, and it's, 15 feet away from you, you may not hear it much at all, especially if you've got the surround sound turned all the way up. So to add some visual flair, this unit actually includes some really sick RGB rings that are on each side of the GPU, and it has a beautiful honeycomb top vent for the intake, and that adds a lot of cool factor. Combine that with the all aluminum unibody construction, and it is a beautiful piece of kit right here. This is a unit. Now, price wise, it does start at the early bird price of $899, and there will be an affiliate link below if you want to pick one of these up at no extra cost to you. And if you do use those links, it does mean a lot to me, but there is no pressure. And if you end up getting it after the early bird price has passed, it is going to be $999. Now let's talk about the performance. And as I mentioned, this is a new experience for me, and I want to share it in a way that resonates with you who are new to eGPUs as well. And if you're using an Ally X, for example, you're not going to be able to use the latest drivers, for example. I will point you in the direction to OKS Gamer's YouTube video. I will link below, and it'll show you how to get the drivers set up and how to configure everything. There is a little bit of FAFO with this, unfortunately, and for some people your tolerance of FAFO might be higher than mine, but for me it was a little frustrating because, as you know, Armory Crate and Windows, they all like to kind of update themselves occasionally. And I actually had a couple of instances where it reboots and then it automatically updates and undoes all the hard work that I just did. So I have to run DDU and redo the drivers yet again. And to some people, spending 5 minutes every couple of times you reboot to redo the drivers is completely acceptable. Drop in the comments if you think that's acceptable and you're okay with that, because I'm genuinely curious to know. For me, it was a little frustrating because when I'm ready to game, and I don't feel like messing around with software and tinkering with stuff. I'd rather find a solution that is just simply plug and play. Now, with that in mind, I have asked some of my colleagues and they had much better luck on other handhelds. It seems to me if you're going to be running this on an 8840U or 6800, any of the older or newer chipsets seem to run fine. Maybe it's just a skill issue that the 7840U or the Z1 Extremes have, but maybe you'll have to run some type of different configuration where it blocks the updates or something like that. I'm sure there's some genius people out there who will find a fix for this if there isn't one already at the time of filming. Keep in mind this is a prototype unit and there is to be some FAFO that is expected when you do have a prototype unit. So all of this could just be not even worth mentioning at the time that you buy one, because they could have already fixed the software issues. But I review things in the state that I get them, and that's just where we're at. It is a little bit of a FAFO situation for the software side. And I'll touch back on one of the other things that might be fixed later with time is going to be the fan noise. Now, fan noise a lot of times can be adjusted with fan curves and software, but if you enjoy hearing Ric Flair go, "Woo! Slow down! Woo! 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 Woo!" then maybe the fan noise won't bother you much. But like I said, talking to some of my colleagues, they didn't get bothered at all with the fan noise, so it's probably just a personal skill issue on my part with my ears. Now, with all the caveats out of the way, let's get into some gameplay. First up, it's going to be Call of Duty Black Ops 6, and I'm going to be running this at 1440p with FSR on quality, and the settings a little bit mixed between medium and low, and some stuff is off. Now, to kind of compare to factory on the Ally X at 1080p, with these same settings, you'll end up getting between 90 and 100 FPS. So being able to jump this up to 1440 and getting the frame rates that I'm about to show you, it's pretty impressive. So I'm getting between 140 and 160 FPS, and that's actually better than a 4070 laptop, for example. That's pretty impressive once again. Now, next up, we're going to look at Forza Horizon 5, and once again, 1440p, medium settings with FSR on quality. Now, I was able to achieve a smooth 120 FPS. I do recommend locking this one at 120 and then turning on VSync to avoid any micro stuttering. You might need to FAFO a little bit with every game by disabling it or enabling it, because every game definitely seems to either love it or hate it. So check out VSync, see how it runs on your device on versus off. And if you're interested in more gameplay tests, I'm going to link some videos below from my colleagues who will be able to give you a little bit more in-depth testing with other devices. So with all the pros and cons considered, here's my final thoughts. Yes, I recommend it, and yes, I would buy it, but there's a reason for it. The two issues I have with it are probably going to get better with time, such as the software side, driver conflicts or whatever. That's something easily that can be fixed with time. The fan noise, however, it's not as easy to fix, but it is something that could be fixed. The temperatures are quite good on this thing, and I do think that they probably could lower these fan curves a little bit. And if not, hey, I'm always down to mod stuff, so I would totally take this thing apart, put in some Noctua fans, or even water cool it, because you know I'm crazy like that. But all that aside, you're getting a dock, You're getting an NVMe dock, you're getting an eGPU, you're getting some cool kit on your desk. Like you're getting a lot of devices all in one for the money. So I think it actually is a pretty good value, especially if you're going to be comparing it to like a Radeon 7600 or 4060 or 3060. It actually offers a pretty substantial upgrade compared to that. If you're going to be looking at some of the cheaper eGPUs, it's not really that big of a jump in performance, so you probably wouldn't feel like you got a big upgrade like you would getting a 7800M. And if you're going to be using this on a TV as well, 4K gaming with that much VRAM and with this type of performance, you should be able to get some pretty respectable 4K games in rather than doing a 7600 or 3060 or 4060. So if you're considering an eGPU and you can handle a little bit of FAFO, I do think this is the one to consider. And like I said earlier, if you want to check the links out below, they will help the channel at no extra cost to you, and it is greatly appreciated. But like I said, there's no pressure. And if you want to see more on this, there'll be some more videos as well where you can check out some of my colleagues where they reviewed it and you can hear their thoughts and findings with this particular unit. And once again, thank you to the channel members. You guys are the GOAT. Much love, and even more love to the people who made it to the end as well. Thank you all so much. And I really hope this video was useful. I hope it was helpful, informative, and just gives you a better all sense of what you can expect hooking up an eGPU to an Ally X, especially this. You will have to do a little bit of FAFO, but is it worth it? Let me know in the comments below. I really want to know what you guys think, because everyone has a different tolerance for what they're willing to put up with. And, you know, all things aside, I could probably deal with it, but let me know. All right, guys. Well, until the next one, I hope you all have a good afternoon, good evening, or good night.